Welcome to It Is What It Is, a true crime podcast. I'm your host, Shaw Marie. How's everybody doing? Hopefully good. So today's episode, like I said, is for a friend at work. He is also a vet. And so the fact that he picked this story was kind of interesting. So he picked Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber. And so I'm pretty sure a bunch of you already know about that, especially if you're true crime fans. I stopped myself because I'm like, oh, not really true crime. He's more of a terrorist than he is anything else, but which obviously is a crime, so I guess whatever. And so I've tried, and I knew I said I was going to put this out last week, but I tried as hard as I could. Maybe not hard enough. Hopefully somebody will be able to give me a link, send me a link or something to give me more on like his past, and not his past in the sense of his time at in war and stuff like that. Mainly his what the fuck is it called? Childhood. There we go. What's it called? Yeah, his childhood. And so, if you do know of a good fucking website, book, even a book or anything like that that looks more into his childhood and stuff like that, I would be really interested in reading it, because they say when he was a kid growing up with his siblings and everything else, that he was the in charge sibling. And so what I take that as when you're kids and you play a game with your siblings, there's always one sibling that tells you, okay, everybody's going to say this, you're going to react like this, I'm going to do this, and then we're all going to do this, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to, like, they take charge and they make the rules of all the games. That's what they've said about his childhood. And that's really it. And except for he was a good student, he was a babysitter of the children in the neighborhood. He was trusted in the neighborhood. Even some of his neighbors who were like parents to him were witnesses, like character witnesses for him at court and everything else. Like they say he was really good at controlling the neighborhood and keeping the kids in line and babysitting and everything like that. So anything besides that stuff, maybe I'm more interested in his Gulf War times, I guess, what I would say, because that, I guess, well, from my point, is when he takes a turn. So they say that this is what every news outlet I have found has said, so I'm not just saying this, that that if you were in the military or whatever, you would want 1 million of him, because he was a legit good soldier. Like, he was a soldier of soldiers. Like, they said, out of, when he went to Desert Storm, out of 8 other people and 1 American, he would definitely not misshoot, and he would not kill the American. So he was really good at, they say, what his job was. And I really hated saying all of that right now, because I just felt super bad saying all that. But he was in the Army. So, the U.S. Army. Okay. And he went to the infantry school in Virginia. Good Lord. Georgia. I'm so sorry. In Georgia. And then while he was there, he really wanted to be, after all that, he wanted to be like a sniper or something. He did not pass the test, so he failed. And so he was given the option to honorably go the fuck away and get discharged, and that's what he chose. So him and his 2 buddies have the same kind of like mindset in a way. And so another thing though, when he was in war, I thought it was really weird and kind of cool because it kind of shows like his mindset of like being able to block things out around him. Pretty much is like he would drive this thing, and instead of listening to bombs and grenades and everything else going on outside their vehicle, he rewired his army tanker to play music. And so when they would go into war, they would be rocking the fuck out and they wouldn't be able to hear the shit going on around them. And people did say when he first got to, I don't even know, I can't remember, sorry. When he first got to war, it was really hard on him. At least that's what he was telling people at home. Meanwhile, to his other fellow soldiers, he was the first one to shout loudly, like, blood makes the grass grow, and like shit like that. And so, and to be like their cheerleader hype man. And so he just was wanting to be in that life. That was the life he wanted, and he wanted to grow, but he blamed the army because he says he wasn't given the proper time to train, to prepare to pass the fitness test and everything else that he needed to go to the next level that he wanted to achieve. So of course it's everybody else's problem because he failed. So then they can't keep jobs, and he can't keep a job, but he realizes that he can make money selling guns on the black market, the gun trade, in the gun trade. So he starts doing that. He starts making money, him and his little friends, and I mean, they get pretty good. They make okay. I mean, they bought fucking a ton of explosives and stuff like that. So I'm assuming that shit costs a lot of money. So I'm going to assume they were pretty good at hustling guns. Assumption to assumption. That's what I just did. And he, at the time of doing the bombings, was only 26 years old. So he's already seen war and gone through a really shitty day. Like, not a shitty day, but like a mind fuckery is what he's gone through, in my opinion. I just shitty day, chopped it up to that day being a shitty day. But I don't really think it was, because he really truly plotted everything out. Like, he went there with his cohort and like scoped it out and everything else. So I don't really think, you know, I don't know. I don't know why I said shitty day. Sorry. He didn't have a shitty day. He had a shitty experience in life that made him an angry person. And it was the special forces, by the way, that he wanted to go into. I fucking totally, that just popped back into my head. It was the special forces, not a sniper. Anyway, so he wanted to be in the special forces. And they don't just let anybody into the special forces. You gotta do the test. You gotta do the fitness. You gotta fucking know your shit. And he says the only part he failed was the fitness and everything else. And so I'm like, I don't know. But whatever. So, like I said, him and his little buddies can't find jobs. They're doing the gun trade. And they decide after Waco and shit, I cannot think of the name right now. Waco and Rudy Ridge. Good Lord. That took me a second. Like, I had to pause this and like really think. And I was like, you did an episode about it? You know this? Sorry, the Weavers. Yes, Randy. So after all of that, he went to Waco and saw the ending. The murder. I believe it was murder. And we'll do Waco another time. We're not going to get into good old David right now. I just don't have the time. And so he saw that in that instance, the government killed children, women, and men. In my personal belief, that is what happened. I believe that there was a million ways that that could have ended differently, but like I said, another episode. Anywho'ser. So he's angry, and the main thing with the Waco that everybody is claiming set him off is the tank that was used in Waco was one of the tanks that he used, and that he was a very talented artsman, crafts. I don't know what the fuck do they call it when you're like a good shot. We'll call it that. But they were like, this dude's amazing. Like, with a tank, you could line up people and he could take out the people you wanted in the middle, and like nothing happened to the people. Like, he was amazing, they say. Never shot a tank. I don't know. So that was one of his reasons. They say, I'm going to keep saying that because I don't know, because he himself, I have not found anything except for very short clippings of his interviews that he did from the time he was captured to his execution. So, I don't know if that's really the defining moment where he was like, it's okay for me to kill babies in my getting back of the American justice system. So him and his buddy, like I said, they go to the Oklahoma City building, and they go, he sees the daycare. He goes and he asks questions about the security and everything else. And the workers, two of the husband and wife workers, after the explosion, when his picture came out, they were like, oh, we know that motherfucker. He came into the place. And so that came out as well. But on April 19th, this is 3 days before his birthday, at 9:02 a.m., the bomb goes off. And it goes off in the parking area, and it is devastating. It is the second biggest act of terrorism since the first attack on the Twin Towers. So, and the Unabomber. So, I mean, those are the top three, at least at this point in time, that they're like, this is the biggest shit. And those are the top three trials too that cost like a lot of money, are those ones. So his parents split up when he was 16, and he moves in with his dad, right? And when he moves in with his dad's like, he just started loving guns and stuff. So his fascination with guns and everything else, I will not put on the Army. A lot of people have, at least the things I've read and seen, are like, well, if he wasn't in the Army, he wouldn't have fallen in love with guns. That came way back. And I don't even think it was like when he was a teenager. I don't think it was a fascination in a negative way, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think when he was 16, he was like, well, I'm going to do this. In his mind, I can't even say that because it really makes no sense to think that blowing up a building will teach the government that they're doing wrong. I mean, I get the eye for an eye aspect of it. I get that. In a retaliation sort of way. Because, I mean, maybe I do, maybe I don't, now that I'm thinking about it out loud. But to blame the whole justice, the whole government system and everything else on Waco and the Weavers and all that, it's not really fair to blame it in its entirety and say these people could have made it differently. Those were two instances that, yes, they had a lot of similarities. And from what I understand, I'm not 100%. I have never seen the rosters of who all was in attendance that day. I'm not a fucking teacher. I don't know. But from what I understand, there was some involvement on the FBI and all that people were at both instances. Like reoccurring things. We kind of covered that in the Rudy Ridge one, but I don't know. I have a hard time when it comes to acts of terrorism. Mainly because their reasoning behind it, very few people would ever understand, because it's a fucked up way of thinking. In my opinion, it's worse than being a serial killer, because that you're going after one individual person and you grow to have a theme. At least what we know of most serial killers nowadays, they have a theme. You have a big ass, you got blonde hair. I mean, whatever that weirdo's fancy is. But to be a terrorist, you don't give a fuck. There's no age limit. There's no sex. There's no female, male. There's no straight, gay, or indifferent. No one cares what color your skin is. You know what I mean? Like, when you commit an act like that and you blow up a whole fucking building, you are not giving two shits. That's a different type of mindset. And to know that you've already been in that building and you know that pretty much almost every working parent in that building has put their child into the daycare that you intend to blow up. And these are like the firearms, what is the FTA, or I don't fucking know the abbreviations for all the ranks and stuff. I really don't. I'm not going to pretend like I do. But these people that he hurt and he went after are truly innocent, bystanding people. They didn't do anything to him. You know what I mean? So that is just a different type of animal. To be able to do that. And people want to be like, oh, well, he had trauma from the war, which may be true. I won't stop that for a second. That might be true. He may have medical issues that stem from that time. So, I mean, in that case, I guess one of the documentaries, sorry, somebody in the parking lot with their gay ass little Honda thinks they're cool. Anyway, so I guess back in the day, overseas, when their wars would finish, they would come home on a slow boat. And they said that they would do that so the men could work through the traumas of war together and go through it and not just come home. And when Tim came home, I'm going to call him Tim. And when Tim came home, he was by himself. You know what I mean? He was solo dolo. He didn't have anybody. He didn't have a girlfriend. He didn't have anybody at all, really. It was just him, his fucked up mind, all the fucked up things he saw, and going home. That was it. So he didn't get the proper help. And I'm not going to say that if he would have gotten the proper help, that maybe he wouldn't have taken all those lives. Because I honestly think that his anger towards a system that you cannot take down. Unfortunately, as fucked up as it is, the system is the system, and it's grown to be the system that we can try, and I encourage people, stand up, believe in what you believe in, and try to not let it control your life. But at the end of the day, they control everything. There's people who are so radical in the movement that they're like, well, I don't want to get an ID so Big Brother doesn't know where I am. Well, to drive a car, to do things like that, you are forced to have identification. They control it. You don't want to. You don't like it. but you gotta do it. You know what I mean? At least that's my mindset. It's yes, fight the man, stand up to the man, know your rights, defend your rights, stand for them. But don't let it consume you to the point of I myself can make the world change by doing this drastic thing. I will have an open platform and everybody will listen to me. Because the act that you do takes away your standing on what you're standing for. Because then everybody's mind goes away from what you originally had, which probably could have been a very solid platform for the government's misuse and authority. You could have had more power in standing up with all the other protesters and everything else and standing your ground than you would have blowing up a building which killed children. Families were devastated. I mean, he destroyed and killed a massive amount of people. He hurt exactly, 168 people were killed, and 19 of those were children. More than 680 people were hurt. And this is all in a matter of seconds. He made this decision. He chose to set it off. The bomb went off. These people's lives. And there's historical photos of a sweet little baby girl who just celebrated her first birthday the day before. She is dead in a fireman's arms. You don't know she's dead by looking at her on the pictures. You don't find out she's dead until you watch her mother's part of the documentary where she gets to the hospital and they say, honey, she got hit in the head and was dead on impact. So that's he murdered children. I don't know. And I read a bunch of comments and everybody was like, oh, if he just would have blew up a building and it was just parents, would you be so mad? Fuck yeah, we'd be so mad. The death penalty would still need to be enacted. The death penalty may be murder in some cases, which I fully believe that. In some cases, the death penalty has murdered people. It has taken innocent lives when it should not have. But if Tim, good old Timmy boy, is not the definition of what the death penalty stands for, what does it stand for? If you can murder children, 19 children, in the blink of an eye, you deserve to die for that choice. That is the choice you've made. That is the choice that will end your life. Because those children, you ended their lives. You snuffed out life before it had a chance of growing. So, I don't know. He deserved to die. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, if we could have known more about good old Timmy boy. Because he was a fuck. And he died. So, his last meal was 2 pints of mint chocolate ice cream. Delish. Not a big fan of mint, but whatever. And the families of the poor victims and everybody else watched him die on closed circuit TV. And the families of the victims said that he looked at the camera in such a way that it would they had to turn away because you could feel just the hate and the malice and the anger he had towards them. So that's super scary. Imagine that. You go there thinking in your head, this is the day I'll be able to look at this man and watch him die and he will be snuffed out. And you get there and all you see is an empty, soulless fucking monster. And you can't watch him die, even though it would bring you some sense of fucked up closure. And that's exactly what it is. It's a sense, to me it's fucked up. To them it's probably not, because there's no more possibility of him doing anything once death happens. And I mean, that's the peace people find when killers and rapists and murderers of children, women, men alike. That's what the killing of the execution, I won't say killing, the execution of that person, it is that final closure. You are safe. Nothing else will happen to your family. Nothing else will happen to anybody else's family. And you want that. You want to be able to watch that happen. At least I would. I won't speak for any of them. At least I know when it comes to my family, I'm fucking savage. I turn into a completely different person when it comes to my family. My family is my blood. Even if you are not my blood, but you are my family, I will die for you. I will ride for you. So, I would want to see you fucking killed. Especially if you killed my baby a day after her first birthday. Sorry, bro, you gotta go. Wash my hands of you and your wasteless ass life. And he was killed like 2 years after his trial and everything else. So, I mean, his execution, his trial, execution, everything else from A to B, super quick. I mean, we didn't mess around at all. But I'm going to end that here because if anybody can hear, my lovely street sweeper friend is here. I came out here early just to avoid his ass. And so I'm going to try to get in my review of the docuseries. There we go. Docuseries, not documents. Of the docuseries, the sports one that I wanted to do like 2 weeks ago. And then sometime next week, hopefully it happens next week, I have a very, 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 very important episode happening. Super, super, super important episode, actually. So, please watch for that. It'll be very interesting to see the feedback I get on the next episode I have a guest on. So, it's going to be nice to talk to her because I love her and what's happening to her. I will stand by her. Like I said, my family is my family. I turn into a savage person because of my family. And so it's going to be very exciting for her to start her journey of speaking out and everything else with me. And always an honor. So hopefully not this week, but hopefully next week we can get her. She's a very, very busy woman, single mom. So I got to fit in her time somewhere. So hopefully we can make that happen. But giveaway. So I have yet to meet up with him. Maybe he doesn't like me. Who knows? Just kidding. I haven't met up with him yet, but I will. So these tickets are going to happen. No worries. But the Blackout, it's an event happening here in Idaho Falls, Idaho. It is going to be the start of the summer. It's going to be the bestest thing ever. If you want to come to this show for free, that's right, for free. Because guess what? I'm going to give you tickets. 2 free ones. All you got to do is go on iTunes, leave me a review, take a screenshot of it, send it my way. Bada bing, bada boom. And I have found out that sometimes, I'm guessing, some people cannot figure out how to get from the internet to iTunes without having an iTunes account. I don't know how it works. For those people, if you truly cannot figure it out, leave me a review anywhere the reviews can be left. Screenshot it, send it to me. You can still get entered to win, because I do have a bunch of you lovely folks that are completely computer illiterate, which is fine. So, like I said, if you want to win tickets to the best concert to start off our summer here in Idaho Falls, it is called the Blackout. It is going to be June 26th. The Jeff and Greg podcast have come together with a bunch of local sponsors to do this and give us the best start to the summer possible. There's going to be amazing artists there. a guy, Touch. I'm really excited to watch him perform. He is going to be there. St. Michael is going to be there. It's going to just be so much fucking fun. There is a full bar, so come, drink, party, have fun. It's an 18 and over event because Jeff and Greg can't talk around children. I don't think the banter they have with each other is very not children friendly, and I will say that as a mother, and I love and adore their show, but I would never let my children listen to them. So 18 and over, and yeah, you can go to any of their local sponsors here locally. If you want to just go and buy your ticket, you're more than welcome. I still do the giveaway. It's $20. You don't have to spend $15. Tickets will be at the door. You can go and get them beforehand. Like I said, $10 a pop. You can go to Beamer's Action Sports. You can get a hold of Jeff and Greg from the Jeff and Greg podcast. You can go to Garcia's Street Tacos. I have never been there, but I need to be there. I've heard their fucking tacos are delicious, which I need to do. Soda Tsunami, which is amazing. Hippie Down, which is a local glass shop here in Idaho Falls. Never been in there, but I hear they're amazing. And I can't see anybody else on his list. But if I forgot one of his sponsors, I'm so fucking sorry. But I have shared this flyer a million times. I'll keep sharing it. Everybody else keep sharing it as well. Tickets are literally almost gone. So this could be one of your only chances to get 2 tickets. So, I mean, I will release the winner on the 20th. So that way, if you do win it and you are from either from Colorado, Montana, Wyoming, Washington, which I have a bunch of listeners in those areas, you guys can still come. Hopefully have a weekend of fun. Come enjoy a free show and have a blast. And I am so stoked. I'm going with my brothers and I'm just overjoyed. So if you want to win tickets, please, please, please just leave the comments, whatever you got to do. I've already told you what to do. Leave the reviews, screenshotty, send it to me. Bam, you're entered. 20th, I tell you, 26th, we party like it's 1985. So, yeah, I'm super stoked about that. Also, my sweaters, my shirts, and all that stuff have come out officially. I will be doing group orders for them, so if you want them, I'll be putting in an order once a month. My cousin has got it designed for me. Her sister's my person I go through for the printing. He's right behind me, asshole. So, yes, once a month, bam, we'll go through her. If you want your shit, get at me. I'll get at her, whatever. We'll work it out. So, yeah, I fucking love you guys. Have a great week. And like I said, again, this was picked by a friend from work. His name is Alex. He is your local cart pusher at the Ammon Walmart. He is a good-looking fella that looks like Bobby Hill. So if you see him out there on the hot-ass summer days pushing your carts that you refuse to take to the cart stalls, tell him thank you and thank him for his service because he has defended your country. So, on that note, Alex, my buddy, there you go. Hopefully you liked it. I wish I knew more about the guy to give more insight on him, but there we have it. All right, you guys, have a great, great week. I'm going to flip this guy off. Love ya. Bye.